So when you start talking about the IED threat when it comes to a walk-through metal detector, your ability to detect that is solely based on which program setting you're using. So again, if you've watched any of the videos that we talk about on training, the manual's not going to help you because there's going to be nothing in that manual that talks about IEDs. The vendors do not talk about IEDs. Nobody talks about IEDs. There's no test standard for IEDs on walk-through metal detectors, but I'm here to show you that you can. Now, the first question everybody seems to ask, and I actually did this when I got out of the military, when I got out of the Marines and I started working for the State Department, I didn't know anything about walk-through metal detectors. I'm assuming walk-through metal detector, it detects metal. If I run a blasting cap through it, it's going to set it off. So me and a bunch of other bomb guys are sitting there going, how does this thing work? I wonder if it'll pick up the blasting cap. We assumed it would, so we were a little cautious because we didn't know what would happen, so we taped a real blasting cap to the end of a broomstick and started shoving it through the walk-through metal detector. And lo and behold, nothing happened. Nothing at all. Didn't alarm, didn't anything. And then we started getting into the program settings, the different programs, the different sensitivities, and started playing around with it. And the unit that we happened to be working with at the time, we found that even if we maxed it out, we couldn't detect those detonators and blasting caps. So they're extremely hard to detect. And if you're just trying to detect the detonator or blasting cap, you have to be on extremely high sensitivity setting. This is going to be a sensitivity setting that's going to be close to or exceeding what they use in prisons, okay? And this means no metal. You can have no metal on you whatsoever. Your ring's going to go off, your necklace is going to go off. This is how sensitive it would have to be to pick up a detonator and blasting cap. So we're going to demonstrate this for you so you can actually see that. And we're going to do it on the most sensitive Opinel knife setting. Okay, so this is the Opinel number 8. It's the smallest of the two knives. This again is a knife detection program, and you've watched my other videos or you've been through my training. Just because it's a knife detection program doesn't mean it detects all knives. Okay, all right, so we're going to run it through the dead center and we're going to get an alarm. One red dot, that means it's set to where we need it to be. Center portion is the weakest part of the system. You go through in a straight up and down orientation, so it's the farthest away from the panel. You run it through. If you get that 1 star, you're right at the threshold of the alarm. That's how you set these systems. I know some agencies have you going through the walkthrough, all kinds of different orientations and stuff. I know walkthrough metal detectors, if you go through like this and it alarms from top to bottom, you don't need to do anything else. Trust me, everything else is going to work. It's only if somebody's actually screwed with one of the zones and changed it that you'll see something, but you'll see it, like this, which is almost telling me, all right, there it goes, that somebody might have messed with that zone, but they didn't. All right, so a detonator or blasting caps, if it's an electrically initiated one, it's going to come into copper and aluminum. The more common commercially that are used for mining, blasting, or military is going to be the aluminum. Copper is typically used for oil wells, things of that nature, but it does have a lot of different applications. All right, but these are the two that you're going to use. And what's interesting about both of them is that they completely are comprised of non-ferrous metals. So if you've been through my training, you already know non-ferrous metals are the most difficult to detect. If you buy a cheap $1,000 walk-through metal detector, it is going to suck at detecting non-ferrous metals. So as you start going up in price, the higher the price, the better the system, the better they are going to be able to detecting non-ferrous metals and ferrous metals, even with cancellation effects going on, but they're also going to be able to deal with interference, okay, or background noise. All right, so we'll take both these, we'll run them through the system, okay, and you'll notice up here in the cross-piece indicator, I'm getting no signal whatsoever, okay? I can get all the way over here. I can take the copper one. We can, I got something. Let's wait till it goes away. Nah, I think, yeah, maybe 1 star, okay? And that is on the most sensitive ECAC setting. So if they've got the explosive and the detonator, the explosive's not going to go, okay? It's not going to alarm. Now all they need is a battery, okay? So all of these electrically initiated systems have to use a power source, and we're going to show you that, how well this works with the power sources, because that's the largest component of an IED circuit. Now the other type of detonator is a non-electrical firing system using a hobby fuse, time fuse, or safety fuse. And this is a black powdered core. You light it, it burns down. They have different speeds at which they burn. Most of this stuff can be bought on commercial, online from fireworks companies. They sell it. It just depends on where you live in the world, but you can get e-matches, all this kind of stuff anywhere you are in the world. But the end of this is going to be the non-electrical detonator. So what happens is burns down to the end, spits out a flame. That flame sets off the lead azide, lead stephanate. That's the black stuff you see inside of a cap. Extremely sensitive stuff, and that's what sets the cap off. This is called a non-electrical firing system. That's just very little metal. So when this system's set to that, this is a non-detectable threat, okay? Literally non-detectable threat on a walk-through metal detector. So even if we cranked up the sensitivity on this thing, and this is a PMD2, it's not their best unit, you would probably need something like an O2P20 or an SMD600 to be able to crank up to a sensitivity to even try to detect this, okay? We'll try this at the end, it's not gonna work. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you on this setting all the different firing circuits, simple firing circuits on the suicide bomber using different power sources. All right, so we're going to use small, low metallic switches, detonators, either copper or aluminum, and what's going to change as we go through all of these is going to be the power source. All right, so what you're focusing on, if they ever develop a freaking standard for IEDs, okay, which they could do, it needs to be based on the battery. The size of the battery is what's going to need to be based on if they're using an electrically initiated system. All right, so the first one we're going to start with is a D-cell battery. Okay, one D-cell in a holder with a battery wire switch and detonator. Okay, you run this through on this setting, dead center, and we get an alarm. Okay, so we'll set this one here as a success. C-cell battery, same thing. Battery, wire, switch, detonator, and all you need is the explosive for your suicide vest. We'll run it through the dead center. We got an alarm. We're 2 for 2. Next one we're going to do is a 9-volt battery. 9 volt, all right? There's your little switch. There's your detonator. We're going to run it through the dead center. We got an alarm. You guys notice it's only going like 1 over. It's not like blowing it up or anything. So we're right on the threshold, and we're getting smaller in battery size. Okay, so the next one's going to be 2 AA's. 2 AA batteries. Run it through. Yay, we got it. All right, 1 AA battery. 1 single AA battery. We're going to run it through. Complete firing circuit. 2 deflections. We're going to put it over here. So we know this gets nothing. I got both of them going through at the same time, sorry. Nothing. And then this one gets nothing. That one got 2 deflections. Now we're going to go to a 2 AAA batteries with your switch and your detonator on the most sensitive Opinel setting. Now, this one keeps going off, and it's because of this switch. This switch has got a lot of metal in it, and I think that's why this one's going off. So most of them I have different switches in them that have very little metal. But this one does go off for some reason because the switch has a lot of metal. Or I've completed the circuit. Nope, it's got a lot of metal. So this one went off. Typically, 2 AA's don't go off. 1 single AA with a big old honking switch. So look how big that switch is, but it's just mostly plastic. It doesn't have the metal content that other one did. We're only getting 1 deflection. So this is a cumulative effect. All of the metal combined is what's causing to potentially push it into the alarm. Okay, these are little small 12-volt batteries. See that? There's 2 of them in here. Ooh, we got 4, 3. I bet you if we put it where it would be in the pocket, we actually get an alarm. So if it's dead center, you're not going to get it. Okay, so that one's going over here. 1 12-volt battery. 3 deflections over here. 2 coin batteries. Yes, you can set off a detonator with coin batteries. Don't even try me. Battery wire switch detonator and 2 coin batteries. You can do it with 1 coin battery. Getting one deflection. We'll try some E-matches. None of these are going to go. These are used for low explosives. You're just not going to get these. So that is the ECAC knife setting against detonators and complete firing circuits covering the whole gambit of the different type of power sources. So can you detect an IED with a walk-through metal detector? Yes, you can, but you have to be on a setting that's going to allow you to do that. So this one kind of works okay. I'd say 60% we missed, 40% we detected. I don't think anybody's going to be okay with that if you're worried about IEDs. But again, can you do it? Yes, you can. You have to be on a good setting. So if you take this and go to your walk-through metal detector, anybody can buy an Opinel knife, buy an Opinel number 8, walk over to your walk-through metal detector, and run it through the center. If it alarms, that's the results you're going to get. If it doesn't alarm, see how many deflections it got. So if it's right at the threshold, you're close to it. If you got like 4, but it's not going to red. But if you're getting like 1 or 2 or nothing, you're screwed. You are utterly, completely screwed on the setting that you're using, and every bit of this stuff is going to come right through your walk-through metal detector.